Well, the cracks in the ground have officially started to come about. Now, I have expressed my opposition to many Republican nominees and various other candidates for office, and that includes most sitting members of Congress. But I came across a recent argument that kind of made me sort of reluctantly want to back a person I don't typically support in any form or fashion. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, McCain is currently um, in ailing health. Let me say hello to Saberwolf. And in spite of this, is still a sitting senator. So he voiced his opposition to Gina Haspel, the director for CIA, rather the CIA director nominee that Trump nominated. And he was actually chastised during a White House meeting by this one person who said, you know, what difference does it make? He's dying anyway. And so I spoke about this with that person. I was talking about, you know, you get these leaks so often, and they go, oh well, you know, McCain's been saying some crazy stuff too, like when he said he didn't want Trump at his funeral. And I said, wait a second, their comment about he's dying anyway had nothing to do with the funeral. It entirely had to do with the fact that he came out against the CIA director nominee, and that their belief that his vote wouldn't matter because, for all we know, he might not live to see the vote come to pass. So this person not only revealed their lack of knowledge on the background behind that comment, but just, I guess, this form of contempt. Anyway, so after I mention this, I delve into this, you know, funeral matter, and I say, you know, you're going to tell me a man who can see the end of his life approaching, at least from, well, if I'm to believe that the report is true, cannot pick who comes to his own funeral? And also ask yourself this, because the bad blood between Trump and McCain started 3 years ago during the campaign trail, for those of you that might remember, when Trump said McCain was a war hero because he was captured and he likes people that weren't captured. So ask yourself this, if you were in McCain's shoes. You are a man, or just a person rather, who not only served, but also was captured and, you know, tortured. And you are being critiqued for not wanting a man who not only didn't serve, but dodged the draft to come to your funeral. It was as if they, so after I mentioned this, they concede, okay, that makes sense. But then they go, McCain says a lot of things, so he's not squeaky clean either. That's okay. What a lot of things are you referring to? And they go, they say that they don't keep up with all the things he said. Let me say hello to Envoy. They say they don't keep up with all the things he said. So when they do that, I want to make this clear that they're doing that because they know that they're only upset with this one comment. And they don't want to concede the validity of my point. So they're just going to give this ambiguous statement. If I tell you right now that Trump has been keeping up many of the things Obama had in place, I can list a continuation of the Afghanistan war, the continued drone strikes, the continued surveillance state, the continued disparity between the rich and poor, a variety of things. So, you know, the purpose I am trying to demonstrate here is that when I make an argument, especially when it's on a matter of something relating to the political sphere, I try to come with some fact or direct thing that I have a problem with. You know, to not really get off topic. Let me say hello to MLG. To not get off topic, for example, I am opposed to the U.S. pulling out of the Iran deal, and that's because while Iran adhered to the agreement, we violated it by imposing new sanctions on them last year, back in June, which only 2 senators voted against. They were checked 10 times by an organization which validated that they were adhering to the deal. We have Iran on our list of countries that sponsor terrorism, even though we're putting them on there for backing Syria, in spite of the fact that Syria, at least its government, is combating Al Qaeda and ISIS. So we're actually saying that they back terrorists while they're fighting against terrorists. Again, there's just a multitude of things that I can pull out and direct and concede for why I have an opinion. And look, I have no type of love for McCain. You know, if it were his way, we would have been in so many different wars. But I can at least respect military service and the fact that if someone wants to not have someone come to their funeral, they should be allowed to have that right. And also, I think it had more to do with the fact that this person has this kind of, and we've talked about the Trump cult a couple of times. Let me say hello to. Wait, so how long are you? I have no idea to answer that question. We have the Trump cult, which basically allows him to get away with things that either no one else would be allowed to get away with, or that other people have been criticized for. So, for example, I've had some of his defenders speak highly of him, and I'll say, you don't like Obama, but then he's keeping up A, B, C, and D, and they'll go, oh well, when it comes to the war, I don't want an immediate withdrawal. Wait a second, but you just said you were anti-war. We've been over there. It's literally the longest war in American history. So when do we ever pull out? What, you want another 10 years? So they start, trying to dance around things to make it seem as if it's okay when he does it. Okay, MLG says, is the Trump cult evil? No, I just think that they don't want to accept the fact that a majority of the things Obama had in place are still in effect, except it's the worst parts, in my opinion. Okay, Envoy, what war are you referring to? The Afghanistan war? If you're asking about that one, it's been 17 years. It's been since, I believe, the month after 9/11, October 2001. And that's continued under Bush, Obama, and now Trump. So I've been critical of all three of them for that. I don't play party politics. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to. When are we just gonna get a real when you get money out of politics, when politicians can't be bought out to effectively sit in a chair and not do anything to fix overwhelming gaps and wounds that we have in the contemporary society. Whether that's the fact that we're taxing the lower classes for Envoy. The only look to respond to that, the first thing you have to do is change Congress. And until people make an effort to push forward, and it's going to take loads and loads of people, because it's much easier to win a House seat, for example, just in a district. If you can fix Congress, you can effectively rid yourself of this. And really, in my opinion, we need to just make that an amendment to the Constitution that these large corporations should be barred from being able to buy off these elected officials. That has occurred, and just an issue that has been going on for decades, truly. Well, I would argue it started with Citizens United, but that's been several years, almost a decade. I really do wish that would change so much about the people in the world. Might I recommend doing something on a local level first, and then building up name recognition? But yeah, I didn't mean for this to go off topic. I get so sick of the fact that we have people who, when Obama won, at least the first time around, it was almost as if you said anything bad about him, there was something wrong with you. And when Trump won, I thought we might be able to get some basic amount of neutrality when it comes to problems in these presidents. There's always some issue with someone, but some of these things are just gaping holes. Yeah, Envoy, I remember that one really well. but I think it has gotten lighter because I will tell them I'm opposed to this under him. I'm opposed to this under this other person. So, um, no, Envoy, in my opinion, it really became awful only during the first term. After the first one was over and people started waking up to, the hawkish foreign policy and the lack of action on the banks, they became less likely to just blindly back him, in my opinion, anyway. His wife is another story, but I don't have as many critiques to make of her. I just have she's made comment. Oh, and by the way, I can actually point out comments that she's made that I'm opposed to. Whether it was the one about if again this is an Ivy League educated woman we're talking about here, wanting to throw it away to become a singer like Miss Knowles, if you know what I'm talking about, or the the reason for why women voted for Trump, all of that disgusts me. But again, that won't take away from what she's done. So that I like about nutrition. Garnered a lot of support. That's often the case. The most colorful politician usually goes far. Uh, okay, MLG says all Trump does is give money to big companies. Yeah, they give money to him. But again, I don't want to get too off topic. So I was opposed to that. I just became upset because it's been like a running theme now where it's after I don't know how it was during Bush's reign, but I sure don't remember people just ardently backing every single thing he did and saying he was such a great leader and all. I don't recall. And the internet was around at that time. I just don't remember it at all. So this new period of whatever this politician does, it's automatically good. I would love for it to be over, because even the politicians I adore, and there's very few of them, I can point out things they did or voted for that I was opposed to or was against. So I know I'm not afflicted by this, but yeah, I think it was. I don't mean to get off how right now. Again, we can talk about this on another. I don't know why none of you don't just send me a message to request some stream subject, because again, my only thing is that when someone watches this on the replay, he said the video was about this, but then you start talking about that. No, I'd rather not have the someone upset over a topic being kind of pushed further and further by others. Saberwolf says everyone takes sides. Yeah, but I've tried to really make it to where the only side I take are sides of, it's not the party necessarily, it's just the position. So for example, if you give me some Republicans who are anti-war, I'll back them over the Democrats. If you give me some Democrats who are going to go after these banks, I'll back them over the bulk of them. And it's just anyone who has those positions I will go to. I'm not really caught up in this game of what did Envoy say earlier? The most colorful politician. So actually the topic tomorrow about the most overrated president in my opinion, in American history, is going to really deal with that and put an emphasis on why it's a problem for people to become so obsessed with this as opposed to the actual things being espoused by the individual. So we will see. There should just be a new real wanting to do something about. I don't understand what you're trying to say here. There should just be a real retype that I really don't understand. Rephrase it or something. I'm not trying to beat you up, but I don't comprehend. So it'll be good. You have a time frame. I think it'll probably be during the afternoon, if we're lucky, or if I'm lucky rather, because there are uncontrollable events. It might be during the morning, but I'd wager more so the afternoon. So we'll find out, and it should probably be at least 30 to 40 minutes. And I'll start it off with a little disclaimer, and then I'll talk about personal experiences with this, facts relating to it. I think it'll be interesting. Because generally, when I talk about someone I, for the most part, am okay with, um, and still try to be, constructively critique them, it's not just, me sitting there and saying, "Oh, this person's so horrible." Now, if it's Trump or Obama, then yeah, I'm more likely to do it. But anyone else is kind of less likely. Okay, yeah, get that popcorn. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, and please, for just the love of, if you believe in Christ or just whatever sky deity you support, do not make an argument without having facts to support it. Every single opinion you've seen on here, at least politically, I can throw out or espouse some fact to back my view. And I hope that the rest of you adopt this, because it will save you the time of, I wish you could have seen the person's face. They couldn't believe, having to jump to something else to still stay afloat during this discussion. So I really hope that you guys are spared that. So thank you. Have a good day.